Hello. Welcome to Actors Anonymous Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Keish. Co-hosting with me, as always, is Mr. Jordan Burbank. Jordan, what's up, man?
This is the first time in the past few weeks I haven't fucked up the intro music by talking.
I did see you say something to me with your mouth.
I said I really want to talk right now.
Okay. I gotcha. With us today is an old friend from an old time.
From an old time?
From an older time, I guess.
How old are you?
Timeless.
That's a good answer.
Jason Inman.
Hey, man.
What's up, man? Thanks for coming on the show.
No, thanks for having me. This is like old times, except for in the old times, we never recorded a podcast.
That is very true.
What's wrong with us?
We should have. Oh my gosh, could you imagine?
We'd have been so ahead of the curve.
Dude, no joke, we should have recorded a podcast.
Yep.
What would you have called podcasts if you invented it?
Radio show, probably. I don't know.
A talkie.
A talkie. I like that. That sounds like an award you win for a podcast.
You went into a 1920s accent too a little bit.
Yep.
A talkie, see? Jason Inman, we went to college together and we shot some pretty decent short films for our time in college.
For our time
in college. This is before HD, which we just mentioned earlier.
before HD, and also YouTube had just showed up. And the only reason I uploaded them to YouTube at the time was just because so you could see them.
Right.
Yeah, because otherwise it was just like, hey, Sam, come over to my house and let's watch this thing on my computer.
Yeah.
Which would be weird after a while.
You want to know the first time somebody told me about YouTube? They're like, hey, you should check out youtube.com. And I kept trying to search in, type in the letter U. I thought they were being, clever. And then I'm like, then there's nothing here.
Yeah.
What is this bullshit website?
Yeah.
It's not going to make it. They can't even get it.
It's going to die.
Type in www.
Oh, yeah. So check this out. I just found this out.
A week ago. I'm just kidding. We're recording these episodes.
Right.
You mentioned this earlier on another podcast episode.
If you say, you know how we say www to shorten World Wide Web?
Yeah.
It's actually shorter to say World Wide Web than it is www.
You mean the
syllables.
The syllables. Oh, really?
Look, W.
I don't even type it anymore. Do you?
No. But in terms of conversation.
What's the problem here?
We don't really need it anymore, do we? It can be, it's obsolete.
I'm bringing it back, damn it.
That and AOL discs.
You don't have to bring it back. If you type in
6
without it populates. It auto populates.
Did you ever install 8 AOL discs? You know what I'm talking about? The floppy discs?
Oh, God.
I never installed them.
They still send those.
What?
Who?
I don't.
Who even has a CD player?
Or no, didn't they just? It was only very, very recently that they stopped shipping those out to people. It's very recent that they stopped doing that.
That is
also
that
who
blows
has
my
an
mind.
AOL email? That's the other thing,
right?
Hey, my old agency did.
Yeah, but
Wow.
it's usually people.
Yeah.
I noticed when you work with
Or there's
people
some
out,
agency.
either in the industry or just in general, it's people over 50 or 60 and your grandma. That's.
But you know what it shows? Because they still are. They're amazing. It shows you how long they've been in the game.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
When it's we got AOL.
I guess you should be proud of it.
AOL.
You adapted. You took that internet. You went with it.
If you don't know who Jason Inman is, you should know. He does a great YouTube. Oh my gosh, I can't even talk right now. You have a YouTube show. Oh my gosh, what is it called?
I don't even know what you're
it's called
talking
Jawiin, but
Secret.
you have the Red Shirt Diaries, which is going on right now.
Yep.
It's comic book related, basically.
It's geek related. It started as comic book related, and then I moved out because that channel led to me being paid by a comic book company to talk about comic books. So I kind of decided to change my channel because of that. But we do Red Shirt Diaries. We do the video version of our podcast, Geek History Lesson, where we teach you about a character of pop culture. We have fact videos, Geek and Tea, where I just bring somebody on and talk to them and about anything geeky. But yeah, all types of stuff.
I know for our listeners, it's well, why are we bringing on somebody who talks about geek culture for an acting or industry-related podcast? It might seem a little weird. However, right now, look how many comic book and, comic book TV shows, comic book movies that are out. And the following for them is just, it amazes me still.
The nerds control Hollywood now. Yeah, they really do.
I knew you were really into comic books and
I've always been. There's only one period in my time.
Can I ask why? I feel like I missed out on something when I was younger. You want to know the first comic book I bought?
Let's hear it.
Spawn.
Hey, I read Spawn when I was a angry hormonal teenager as well.
I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, who is this guy?
Let me just tell you, I read those recently. They don't hold up.
Really?
No, not really.
You know what?
I believe
does
it.
hold up for me.
I believe it.
Because I got Hulu, and I got Hulu like only like this is how sad my life is. Like maybe like 5-6 months ago, I got Hulu Plus, and I'm like, I'm gonna just go see what's on there. The 90s animated X-Men series.
Yeah.
Still love it. Still went on a binge, just as good as it was.
The
when I
intro
first watched
song
it.
is amazing.
Right? It's just so good. It's like when you're like, it's like a kid's version of a soap opera. Loved it.
Well, see, that's what it is. That's what comic books are, man. Comic books are about tapping in to that part of yourself that when you were a teenager and you're alone and you think the world is different from you. And some adults still have this. And comic books, if you look at comic books, they're all about loners. Most of their parents are dead. Something really screwed up happened to them. And you're like, hey, something screwed up happened to me too. Yeah. And then they change the world or save the day. And that appeals to your teenager part of your brain. That's why, like, hopefully most people, like, you get into comic books when you're a kid. And I know that's changed now, but, like, that's the reason why, like, the X-Men appeal to so many teenagers and Spawn. Because, like, it's this loner person who they're different from the rest of the world and nobody understands them. That's comic books to a T.
And there's but there's also like that's what a lot of people don't realize. They're like, oh, it's like kiddie or whatever, and they don't. It's like, oh, it's very juvenile, but it's not. It's got so much like there's so many layers to it. It's like X-Men is just not just about like a bunch of loner outsider people that are trying to fit in. There's so much political commentary on not just how a society isn't accepting of a group of people. It's like it's so expansive on all different fronts of like different types of superhero stories.
Well, to move on to like
No,
I'm not saying move on from that. No, I'm just saying move on.
Jordan, move on. You know? No.
Could you imagine if I was that much of a douche? Jordan, move on.
Sobbing silently.
No, I was just saying to follow that, I guess is the better word. The Flash or Arrow, Supergirl. I was lucky enough to read and audition and actually get pretty far in the audition process for The Flash and Supergirl. I was like, oh, wow, this is really great to read. I'm excited to see what they come up with.
They're good shows. They're not The Wire or West Wing or even Breaking Bad. But you know, for a superhero show to be that good, to actually be like, you know, they're not treating them comedically anymore. They're treating them as like they're our drama. They're fun. And just the simple fact that like, there's 3 of those shows on television. There's going to be 4 here in January. Like, that's crazy.
What's that? There's a big, huge Netflix one coming out with Kristen.
Oh, well,
Ritter,
yeah.
too.
There's 5. Okay, so we're going up to 6. We're going up to 7 now.
Yeah. What's that one called?
Jessica Jones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then that one looks really good.
I'm just impressed with the amount of episodes they're pushing out, especially with Flash. And I'm like, that's a lot of just alone, like the editing and the digital, like the special effects.
The special effects on Flash look movie quality. Yeah. Yes.
I said that to somebody. I was like, this is actually really, really good. It needs to get more attention.
Yeah.
The acting is solid. I mean, I'm not sure, like, if there's, I don't know. It's just, unfortunately, you know, when you think maybe like 5 years ago when the CW, you're like, is the quality great? You know what I mean?
Technology has advanced. I mean, remember watching, what was it, Smallville? And you're just like watching that. It's like so serialized. And, like, look at these like costumes that you see from like, it's like, oh God, you have to appreciate how far we've come in the past like 10 years with technology to make not like, it's like the content's still good. The stories are still there. Right. It's just the fact that we've caught up technology wise to make something that's just so visually appealing. The story just seems so much more real to us.
And we've also caught up story-wise.
Yes.
Because now you have writers that can take these kind of silly 60s stories and update them to modern sensibilities and make modern audiences
and
accept
the costumes,
them.
too.
Yeah, and the costumes. Yeah.
Well, you're a director, and you've directed stuff. Do you think there's a special style of acting that's associated, like, with TV shows like The Flash? Or
I can tell you. I'll give you the biggest tip ever about how to play a superhero. It's not how you say your lines. It's presence. A superhero has presence. The minute you walk into the room, I need to tell that you're different from everybody. And if I can't tell that, you're not a superhero. Walk away. Like, and there are certain actors, I won't say who can really pull it off, and there are certain actors that aren't. I'll give you a tip. Chris Hemsworth, great, amazing Thor. Like, the minute he walks into the room as Thor, you're like, yeah, I believe you're a god. Now watch him in anything else. Watch him in like, to me, he hasn't been solid in anything else but the Avengers. Like, he's been okay, but like when he's Thor, you're like, I believe it, because he just puts on that presence of a god. Like, I think running through his head, he's just like, yes, I'm a god. Yes, I'm a god. Yes, I'm a god. Yes, I think that's inside his head. And I think when he doesn't have that, you know, like, was it Rush, or what was that movie where he was the race car driver?
Rush, yeah.
Yeah, like, I didn't see that. Well, there you go. See? Yep. He doesn't bring it, but when he's a god, oh man, you believe. And Chris Evans, even Captain America, like when they first announced him as Captain America, I was like, this guy.
Yeah,
because in all his other roles, he kind of played jokey.
Like Human Torch. It was like a totally different juvenile kind of vibe.
Exactly. But when he walked on screen as Captain America, like, I wanted to salute him. I was like, yeah, oh, there you are. You know, it's all, it's America. It's presence. Henry Cavill has it. That's why I think Ben Affleck's going to kill it as Batman, because Ben Affleck is very good about, like, I am this vengeance. I have a presence. It's because if you look at a lot of superhero, and I'm the first to admit this, TVs and movies, their dialogue, sometimes not the best. And sometimes you have to say some really stupid stuff like, oh, the tachyon beam is coming to kill the city. I'm like, what does that mean? But if you're Henry Cavill as Superman, and you're standing and you're doing that, you know, arms akimbo, and I look in your eyes and I'm like, yeah, I believe you could punch the moon in half. You got it.
Jason, you said something which is key, and we've heard it from casting directors, agents, everybody associated in the industry. The moment you walk in the room.
Yeah.
It's that audition. It's before you even start acting, if you will.
Yeah.
Does he have that essence for Thor, for The Flash, for Arrow? Because you're absolutely right. The Flash has a presence.
Yeah. Yeah. You believe... Grant Gustin does this interesting thing on the Flash TV show where you believe that at any second he's going to run out of the room. And I don't know quite how he pulls it off, but like he looks like he's going to run out of the room. Stephen Amell, who plays Green Arrow over on Arrow, you kind of look at him and you kind of believe that he's going to punch you in the face. Like, that's the kind of the way his presence is. You're just like, oh man, if I say the wrong thing, this guy's gonna clock me.
He's like okay to fight with anybody. You know, like he'll fight you.
Yeah, he's angry. So like you say the wrong thing and he's gonna knock you. You know, yeah, it's all presence. And yeah, audition's exactly the same thing.
Can I give the perfect example in my opinion? Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man.
Yeah.
You believe he is a billionaire playboy? What's that?
If he was like handpicked for that, like you knew that, like that role was basically before they even like made it into a movie. You were like, that could probably be Robert Downey Jr.
I think he's playing himself. He really is.
He absolutely is.
So then there's the challenge for the actor is finding that essence, that core belief structure for this character.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is, my biggest piece of advice, if you're doing anything superhero, what you need to do, and I say the same thing too, because I have a lot of friends who are comic book writers, and sometimes they'll come to me and they'll be like, well, what do you recommend? Like, what's the story? And I'll give them recommendations. But 9 times out of 10, I tell them, go to the original story. Find where this character originally appeared.
Origin story.
Yes, the origin story. The first time they ever appeared. Read it. Figure out what you said. Like, what is the emotion or the belief? Because all those superheroes back in the day were created around a belief. Spider-Man's responsibility. Batman's grief. Superman's hope. Like, figure that out, and how do you take that and embody that? That's how you'll get that superhero.
Dude, this is an acting class right now that we're giving right now.
On superheroes.
And it's relatable, and it's, oh my gosh. This is our 3rd episode in today. I'm starting to lose my choice of words, I think.
Well, it's like even with villains, like I'm really excited for the Suicide Squad film that's going to be coming out.
Me
but
too.
Like, Jared Leto, who is someone that originally when he started acting, I was like, oh, like an interesting guy. I never thought he would amount to the amazing success that he did, and like the roles that he's done on his pathway is just incredible. And when he was casted in that role, everyone was like, that's a lot of expectation after Heath Ledger, but. Seeing just the little bits that we've been getting, and then hearing the stories, like he's gone so in depth with that role that he's sent like something like a dead pig to set or something. I think
Well, apparently also I heard that he sent prank gifts to Ben Affleck.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he's like trying to create the antagonistic relationship off screen between him and Batman.
Yeah, I love that, dude.
Which I think is really great.
I forgot it was. I feel like it was.
And Will Smith said he never that he stayed in as the Joker off camera. So Will Smith was like, I never met Jared Leto. Is it Leto or Leto?
I think it's Leto.
Leto. I never met Jared Leto. I met only the Joker. And he was like, so I would go to the lunch line with the Joker.
That's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
He sent a dead hog to the set, and then he sent a live rat and bullets to his co-stars while they were filming.
Yeah.
Like, that's just that's so creepy. But like,
Jared Leto was the same way. Like, I was worried about him too. And then when they cast him, and then I saw Dallas Buyers Club. Yeah. And in Dallas Buyers Club, he totally disappears into that role. And I was like, he's got it.
Yeah.
That's what, as soon as I saw Dallas Buyers Club before, when it came out. So I was like, man, I have much more of a respect for him. First of all, just to lose that amount of weight takes commitment, period. You can't do it if you're halfway in or a quarter, or like, you have to commit. Yeah, I'm just on the same page with you there.
Yeah.
He also cut off his hair, which I know is it's a simple thing, but he had long hair, and to cut it that short, I mean, and shaving your eyebrows, I mean, that's a physical transformation, especially if you're used to having that, and that's your identity, especially because you're a rock star. You know what I mean?
That's like, when it comes down to it, that's for work. And then you go about the rest of your day with no eyebrows. That's dedication.
Zachary Quinto had to do the same thing for Spock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you know this, and I've heard lots of things online. Maybe you can educate us.
Sure.
For Heath Ledger, Dark Knight, did he really stay in a hotel room for like a month? And okay.
Yeah. He apparently just stayed in a hotel room, didn't really talk to anybody, and then read biographies and police reports and anything he could get on serial killers, and just went into that role. And I heard the same thing too. There's a very interesting interview of Michael Caine around The Dark Knight where he talks about that the first time he ever got to see Heath Ledger as the Joker was the scene where they're in the party, and the Joker comes in and walks through the party and then does that thing with Rachel telling her about the scars and stuff like that. And so the first time Michael Caine got to see Heath Ledger was when they did that take where he comes out the elevator and stuff like that. And Michael Caine literally said, he fucking scared me.
Wow.
And because he was I hadn't met the guy before that movie. And then,
Well, it's one of the highest, for someone who's so, he's so well known for being such an outstanding actor, and one of his books is a huge asset to the acting community too.
Also, his you can find his acting videos on YouTube, the ones where he's don't blink. Whatever you do, don't blink.
Well, speaking of Michael Caine, I saw your wonderful YouTube video.
Which one?
Michael Caine.
The Michael Caine?
The Michael Caine one. Okay. I'm going to mention two videos which I really liked.
Okay.
And because I was obviously going through your repertoire of stuff. Red Shirt Diaries are great. I personally don't get some of the references because I'm not into Star Trek. I've never been into it. And not because I looked at it and said I didn't like it. I just never really watched an episode, to be honest with you. So, which I need to start doing, I feel like.
Well, Red Shirt Diaries, we make our episodes lined up with TOS. And part of the reason why we made, that's the original series, my bad.
Okay,
I went too nerd for you. I'm sorry.
We're not going to understand a word of that.
Yeah, the original series. So our episode 1 is the same episode 1 as the series on Netflix. So the idea is that you could watch the original series episode or watch our episode first and then go watch the other one. They're
Genius.
They're companion pieces.
That's great.
And so if you don't understand a joke in our series, we put lots of little Easter eggs. Go watch the original series episode and you'll understand it, because all of our names, all of our mentions come from that episode. But we did that because Ashley Robinson, who is the star of that, she wanted to do a review series of the original series in order, because she'd never watched it in order. She'd watched it all out of order, and I was the same way. And then I was like, well, what if it was sort of like a futuristic vlog of this person, and then that way we could, it would be very simple to film. We could film a bunch of them, we can tie in, and then that's where the genesis of the series comes. And the greatest compliment we've gotten is people being like, I got to go back and watch the Star Trek series now because of your series. That's the great. So I hope you do. Yeah. And then a lot more of Red Shirt Diaries will make sense to you. And besides, 1966 Star Trek still holds up.
Really?
It really does. And I was blown away by how much of it held up.
I have to check it out.
You should. They're making the new series. You can audition knowing all your shit.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and bringing it back to actors, William Shatner in the original TOS Star Trek, not as terrible as everybody makes him out to believe. as everybody makes you think that William Shatner is a bad actor, in those 1966 episodes, he's great. He's really good. Leonard Nimoy's better, but I think that's the case. Leonard Nimoy is the better actor. But William Shatner is delivering some really silly lines of dialogue amazingly.
Deadpan.
That's when you know an actor's good.
Yeah.
When you could tell the writing's like, but they did a good job with what they had.
Well, that's the greatest thing. The greatest thing that Star Trek did was that these actors made you believe that these people were real. Like, Kirk is a very real person. Spock is a very real person. And yeah, sometimes the storylines were really silly and really stupid, and the sets didn't look that great. But you watched it because of those actors and their characters.
Good job, Jason.
There you go. It's like I talk about Star Trek a lot, right?
we got to take a quick break, but before we go, I love shit comic book nerds say.
Oh, okay.
That's just funny.
Thank you.
That's just funny. Go watch it. And your Wizard of Oz sketch. Holy shit. Okay, I'm asking you on air right now.
Okay.
I have a few ideas of stuff where, you know how you superimpose, what's his name?
James Franco?
James Franco.
Yep.
In the Wizard of Oz, the old 1960s or 70s it came out.
No, it was 1939.
Oh, 1939. Oh my God. Where have I been living? How old am I? Timeless. There you go. Full circle. Yeah. Where you superimpose James Franco. You're playing James Franco.
I'm playing a bad James Franco. I do a terrible James Franco impression.
Oh no,
but I'm superimposed into the Wizard of Oz.
It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
It looks real. It looks pretty real, and it's like outtakes, like why it didn't. Fuck, it's too funny.
The joke about it was it came around the Oz the Great and Powerful, that movie they made, and so the idea that we made was that 20th Century Fox or whoever, it was MGM made Wizard of Oz, I think, decided to make a special edition of the Wizard of Oz with James Franco in it.
Oh my God.
It's genius.
That's not unbelievable.
No.
We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back.
Put a flavored condom on your head because your mind is about to get blown.
High school is over.
Blackout party at the beach, bitches! You're legit popular.
Maddie f***ing McKevin.
You have to tell her.
I still want to be with you. You still want to be with me?
Welcome to the Enchanted Fantasy Prom. Be sure to sign up for the raffle. You could win a rainbow.
Awkward. Season 5 premiering August 31st at 9/8 Central. Only on MTV.
And we're back. Damn it, Jordan. I can't say it on air. Damn it, Nicole. You brought us back.
Yeah.
I want to know about this DC magic room that you told me in the waiting area.
Before the podcast.
Before the podcast.
Okay, so so that's part of DC All Access. So that's the DC Comics YouTube show.
You host it.
Yes, which I host it with Tiffany Smith. It's 5 days a week, every weekday.
On YouTube?
On YouTube. YouTube.com/DC Entertainment, I believe. Their YouTube's weird.
It's World Wide Web.
World Wide Web, AOL./AltaVista.
Gotcha.
The DC, just go to YouTube, search DC Comics. You'll find it. Which I actually got because I won a contest. I auditioned against the internet for it because last year they asked their previous hosts stepped down and they asked for anybody to submit videos. I actually wasn't going to submit a video, and then my girlfriend told me to submit a video, and I submitted a video, went through the audition process, and then last year before Christmas they were like, we want to give you the gig, and I was like, oh, this is the best Christmas present ever. Anyways,
good job, girlfriend.
Yep. The day one, walked in, filmed the first episode, and they were like, oh, we're going to give you a tour of DC Comics. And I was like, this is awesome. Yeah, I want a tour of DC Comics. And they take you around, you see all the places, you get to see where all the comics are made and stuff like that. And then they walk you into this room where they're like, oh, we're going to take you to the magic room. I'm like, what's the magic room? Okay. So we go into this room, there's a keypad, there's two keypads, you got to open door, open the door. And then you walk in, and it's literally the DC Comics store. Every action figure you can ever imagine, every t-shirt you can imagine, every statue, movie, everything like that. And they're like, what do you want? And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, this is all for our tours, our publicity. This is what we give to people who visit the offices. What do you want? And then I got a full size Green Lantern battery, which is huge. It's heavy. It's huge. It's heavy. Yeah,
it's heavy. It's real.
It is. It's a real Green Lantern battery. And then they just like hooked me up with a bunch of Superman statues and stuff like that. Like I made out like a band. I felt like I was robbing the store. So anybody that comes into DC, like if they're new, it's their first time, I'm like, make sure they show you the magic room because it is. It's really cool. I've got to go in there a couple other times. But that's the best thing about DC Comics. Like the coolest thing about walking to DC Comics every time is you walk in and they have the Man of Steel suit there, the Dark Knight suit there, Rorschach Watchman, like an arcade of video games. And then they have racks of comics and they're just like, take them. All those comics, take them. They're yours.
Wow.
Anybody wants them, take them. And you're just like, that's cool.
House. They're like, just get this
well, I mean, that's probably what it is because they have so many comics. But like, it's still cool because, like, to be honest with you, every time I go in there, I flip through them because they're different every time. Every time I've gone in there, they're different, and you're just like, well, maybe there might be something in here. Okay.
Wow. And you're still doing DCX?
I still am doing it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And what exactly you guys just talk about? Like, is there a specific topic every episode?
It's basically, I would say, the Entertainment Tonight of DC Comics. So it's like it talks about like what's coming out the next couple weeks. Like we have clips from Arrow and Flash. We talk to the actors from Arrow and Flash. Mm-hmm. My co-host Tiffany Smith actually next week. I'm so jealous of her. Gets to go to the set of The Flash next week to do like a report for us. And so we do stuff like that. And we do interviews with the comic book artists. And it's just basically like, here's what's coming out in DC Comics. Here's the video games. Here's that type of stuff. Check it out.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So
that's really amazing. This has always been a passion for you. And it's just amazing how this passion has evolved. Like I've known you since college. And now to see where you're at, did you ever imagine this is where you would be at?
It's a funny story. 2 years ago or 3 years ago when they started DC All Access, I can remember watching like the first episode because a friend of mine told me about it. And I remember watching the first episode and being like, damn, I need to work on this. So like now to actually be like working on it, like is really, really cool. Yeah, it is because comic books have always been a passion. Like it was a weird thing that I kind of went in a circle around that. Like, cause I kind of went away from it. I was like, I don't want no comics now. And now over the years, I've kind of been like, no, I do love comic books. Comic books, I've loved them since I was a kid. Mm-hmm. This needs to be my passion or something of the geek nature-y. Like that's why I like geek and stuff like that and Star Trek stuff like that. So,
are you planning to do any more of those sketches that with like the James Franco one or shit comic book? I would say
back then I tried to do one once a week. And I did one once a week for 6 months, and I nearly killed myself because it was only me. It was only me filming it, only me editing it, just like out of my apartment. I would love to bring some of that stuff back.
Dude, you don't know how much I love the James Franco one. Like, well, I watched it a few times.
My friend Gene Shaw, who did the special effects for that, will love it. Like, because I was blown away. Because, like I said, it was me in front of a green screen the entire time. And
when you set the scarecrow on fire.
There also we did a bonus video because a lot of it was just me like goofing off in front of a green screen. So like if you watch the bonus video, there's another bonus video where like it was stuff that we didn't quite feel could make it in.
Okay, I need to watch.
There's another minute and a half of James Franco doing Wizard of Oz stuff in the movie. Set the scarecrow on fire and stuff like that. But
I would like to see like other characters superimposed, and I've had ideas like
that. Into movies?
Yeah, and one of them is for Dexter, like the TV show.
Go to Dexter's.
And it has to be with the scenes with not Dexter's Lab, excuse me, Dexter.
Oh, Dexter, the TV show,
the serial killer,
yeah.
Dexter. Where are you familiar with the show?
Mm-hmm.
Is how the sister is always, what the fuck, Dexter? Like I feel like that's her line, every other line. Yeah, it's stuff like that. Just kind of poking fun at that. So anyway, what I'm doing is pitching you an idea right now, Jason.
It's cool. It's cool. I got to get past Red Shirt Diaries and then we'll talk.
All right. So can we schedule this for?
Yeah.
That'll
finish
like
in February. So
right? No, there are people like that. It just amazes me. Like, and I don't get offended by it anymore. Or I don't really think I was ever offended. But
you mean people that pitch you ideas like, "Hey, come do this thing with me"?
Oh yeah, I don't think I've ever been offended. But seeing people like just their hustle and grind, like even if I'm on set, they're like, "Hey, can you check this out?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely, I'll check this out." I get it. Like, it's ballsy to do that, and sometimes like it's not necessarily the right moment or whatever, and that's fine. But I still respect the fact that people are ballsy enough to do that, not just for me, but for like other.
Hey man,
people, like,
that's another biggest piece of advice I would give to anybody is like completion of anything. Like just finish it. Like just if you've got that idea, like because I don't know, like there's so many people out here, and it's weird because it sounds so LA. There's so many people out here, but I've met so many people, you know, and you know some of those people. I'm sure both of you guys encounter this that like you know every 5 to 6 months, you'll see that person again. But that's the only time you see them. You'll see them again every 5 to 6 months. And you'll talk to them, and they'll be like, hey, I got this movie idea about a tree. And you're like, oh, cool, great. Next 6 months later, you'd be like, hey, still got this idea about that movie with the tree. And be like, you haven't written a script yet? Or then like 2 years later, be like, I still got that movie idea about the tree. And you're like, make it! Yeah. Just make the movie!
Well, that's what I liked about us in college. Like, we just made shit.
We did. And the funniest thing about it, like, so we went to college at the University of Tulsa, and a lot of our ideas, I remember it was just you and me, because we were in the theater department together. And I think, like, Brokeback Mime was like putting the mimes in the idea that they were in Brokeback Mountain. And I literally think the whole idea for that video started where I went to WeSam, I was like, hey, is it funny if we just did Brokeback Mountain except with mimes instead of cowboys?
I probably was like, yes, it's funny. Let's do it.
And then I was like, we're shooting in 2 weeks.
Which you can still find these on the Jawiin page, right?
They are. They're all there. YouTube copyright has become harder and harder, so you know they're there, but so they won't play in certain countries. So I think people in like Uzbekistan can't see them
because of the whole Brokeback Mountain thing.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're both there. They're like some of the original videos on the Jawiin channel.
Yeah.
And it's important, like just for anybody, because I actually just had a conversation the other day with a friend of mine where we were saying like. You fall into that so easily of saying, oh, I have this great idea. It'd be so funny if we just did this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, well, why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that complicated to just go and do something.
Especially with YouTube.
Yeah.
With YouTube, you immediately have a platform to show it to everybody.
And obviously, like when we're in college and you can shoot sketches, it's like you got a bunch of people together. You're like, oh, this is fun. And like the more and more we're in the industry living in LA, it's like, well, yeah, how much does it pay? And you're like, oh, yeah. But if you just solely save up from whatever your regular job is, maybe put like $200 aside in a month, like you can have people, you can make that work. Renting equipment, borrowing people's stuff, and just produce something really simple. It doesn't have to be this epically shot thing. Do it in front of a green, like you were saying.
Yeah, do it in front of a green screen.
Green screen's great. Like I
green
remember,
screens are $20 from Amazon.
When I first moved out here, actually Nicole was in it. Me and Nicole did like a sketch that was like a really weird combination of making fun of Twilight by, it was like Never-Ending Twilight is what we called it. It was the Never-Ending Story concept, but with Twilight, where it's like we superimposed me in like that whole scene where they're like, what are you? I'm a vampire. It was just like I was playing Bella, of course. I don't know.
I was playing Bella, of course.
Yeah. And Nicole goes on a date with like a real vampire, and it turns out to be like the worst, cheesiest thing ever. Yeah, and then the Never-Ending Story ending. But it's just like it's so easy to do. I just shot it in front of green screen. We shoot it in the apartment.
I think it's the gym for actors and directors and producers and writers. Yeah. Just do it. See what you learn from it.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's not going to be perfect, but that's fine.
Well, that's the other thing is that like, because that's a big rule I have is that I always try to move on or top myself. Like when we did Red Shirts, we did Red Shirts season 1. We did 10 episodes, and I was like, oh, let's do an Indiegogo because I've never done an Indiegogo before, and let's see if we can fund season 2. So we did that. We got funded. We did season 2, and we were like, okay, well, if we're going to do season 2, we only did 10 episodes in the first one. Let's do 20, and let's do 20 with on-location shoots. And we have better special effects, and let's actually build a real set. And so we did all that. And now I think from Red Shirt season 2, I now have like a really cool like group of friends and stuff like that, and like enough people and all the little things that I know. And now the idea, I'm really like, you know what? I think I want to make a movie from scratch now because I have the crew now. I have the group. Let's do it, and of course, like I'd pay him. I wouldn't be like, "Come on, guys, come out here to 21 days in the Arizona desert and let's just."
Yeah, you can't do that.
But that's what just doing it has led me to.
Yeah. I think we have a listener question to get to,
God.
Jordan. It's nothing too intense. I don't think
so.
Oh crap! Where is it?
I'm going to ask you a listener question, but I'm going to kind of guess it before you even answer.
All right.
Your favorite superhero? Would I know this? I should know this, right?
Well, I don't think you would.
Okay, so it's not very common.
I don't think you would. I don't think so. Let me see if you can predict.
I was going to say Batman.
That's incorrect.
Okay.
That's incorrect. My favorite hero is actually his sidekick, Nightwing. Nightwing's the first Robin. The reason why I love Nightwing is because look at Batman. Okay, Batman can fight crime for years and years and years and years. There's always going to be crime. He can't stop it. But he did raise this 10-year-old little kid to become a successful, rounded adult who eventually became the leader of the Justice League. That's Batman's greatest success, Nightwing. Actually, number 2 is also Superman because I'm from his home state. 3 is Batman. So there you go.
3 is Batman.
You're close.
I was going to say Superman first.
Yeah.
Just because I remember
everybody thinks Superman because I'm also from Kansas and I was also from a Kansas farm. So that's the big thing of why I always say I'm like, oh, I'm just like Superman. Actually, people ask me where I'm from because I'm from this small town called Stark, which has less than 73 people. And instead of saying that because nobody knows it, I usually say Smallville, and people are like, "Oh yeah, I've heard that place. It's fictional."
Oh my god, that's fantastic.
What if there's one of those people where they're like, oh, you're from Smallville? Okay, yeah, sure. This guy's crazy. This guy's nuts.
They probably do, but at least it makes an interesting party story.
There you go.
You know?
At the Velvet Flash asks, the most important question is, who do you think is Zoom?
I saw that, and I kind of wondered. I get that question a lot.
Really?
I do. Because I did this CW Fan Talk show, which is all about like talking about Flash episodes.
Yeah.
And ever since then, everybody's like, because Zoom is the black Flash. He's the big villain of Flash season 2. Everybody's like, who do I think is Zoom? I did think. Are you guys watch the Flash?
Yeah.
Okay. I did think it was his dad. I really think it's dad. A lot of people on the internet think it's evil Barry Allen, like it's Earth 2 Barry Allen, the alternate Earth Barry Allen. There's a DC multiverse out there where there are multiple Earths where everything can happen. All right.
I love this shit because I have no idea about any of this, and I'm just like, all right,
I'm a walking geek encyclopedia. It's cool. So there's an alternate Earth. On the alternate Earth is an evil Flash. A lot of people think it's evil Barry Allen. The opposite of the main hero of the show. I think it's his dad, but a friend of mine told me a very interesting theory yesterday, which I kind of believe now. He thinks he's Joe West. Joe West is Jesse L. Martin, his foster parent on there, simply for the fact that this Flash's mask is fully covered, so you cannot tell his race. And it would make sense if it was Jesse L. Martin, and also that would be a big, just stab in the gut. So I think it's one of his 2 fathers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I have a question. Of everything that's coming up, what is the thing you're most excited about, either in cinema or television, in the comic universe?
If you would have asked me this question 2 months ago, I would have said the introduction of the DC multiverse on Flash. Because in the first episode, they talk about, there's an Earth 2. There are all these other Earths out there. As a comic book fan, that is the one concept that I never thought we would see in live action. Because it's too heady. It's too heady for an audience to make you believe that there are so many different Earths out there with different people out there. But they did it in episode 1 of season 2, and my head just went, like nerd joygasm. So now it is Batman v Superman, without a doubt, because we've never seen Batman and Superman in the same frame of film ever.
Does that worry you? Because I feel like that worries me about how it's going to be handled.
It doesn't worry me for some things that I've been told that confidentially agreements I cannot say. But
right, we're not recording right now, so you can just say whatever.
off the record.
Yeah, no, it doesn't worry me actually, because I'm one of the few that liked Man of Steel, and I know a lot of people didn't, but I think it's because they were expecting Christopher Reeve's Superman. We haven't. It's been 30 years from Christopher Reeve Superman, and also
let it go, people.
Let it go. Let it go. We can have both versions. It's all good. I liked Man of Steel. I think this movie is too important for them to bungle, and I think Warner Brothers knows that, and I think they're gonna knock it out of the park. I think it's gonna surprise us.
They've been talking about it for a while. I feel.
Also, sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Apologies. No. Here's a crazy thing. That movie's been done filming for a year and a half.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
They've had a year and a half of post production.
Yeah.
You know how much post-production Civil War has? And I'm excited for Marvel Civil War. I love both sides, Marvel, DC. I'm more of a DC guy. Marvel Civil War has 5 months of post-production. Ooh. Batman v Superman, a year and a half.
I wonder if there's anything to do with the fact that they want it to be the next, the quality of how Avengers has been so grossing for and just so popular amongst worldwide selling, that they want to make sure that this is the new franchise for them, that it's going to be as successful. I can definitely see that.
I'll tell you what. When I saw the Avengers, I was blown away.
Yeah, I was too.
I was like, you know what? Good job. Like, sincerely, great job with that circle shot. You know what I mean? Towards the end of the film where they're battling me. That was like the orgasm of the film for, I feel like, most fans.
It's one of those movies that I absolutely love and can watch to like repetitively in the background or like whatever. But someone actually pointed out a bunch of like storyline plot holes that I was like, you know, as much as it like is like it kills a little bit of the mood, I still love the movie.
Yeah.
The ending, the falafel. What is it? The shawarma?
Shawarma.
The shawarma. Say it with the accent. We are running out of time.
Uh-oh.
But Jason, man, thanks for coming on the show.
We just talked about nerd stuff. It's all good, man. Let's do that again.
I absolutely loved it. I loved the acting class that we gave in the beginning of how to play superheroes, to be honest with you. I thought that's
legit. Please listen to that. Seriously. Like, if I see you as a superhero in a movie in the future, you better have presence.
I love it. People want to find you on the interweb? Where
you can find me on Twitter at Jawiin. That's Jawiin. You can find me on YouTube. That's where the Red Shirt Diaries are and all my geeky stuff. DC All Access on the DC YouTube channel. That's every weekday. I'm talking about comics over there. And then I have a podcast myself called Geek History Lesson. You can find it at geekhistorylesson.com. And that's where, if you enjoyed my teaching you about characters here, we pick one character every week and we explain their entire history to you.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Jordan Burbank. Thanks for coming on, man.
I'm always here.
I know. Appreciate everything you do.
Love it.
Jordan Burbank 7, right?
Yep.
Nikki,
That's me.
I appreciate everything you do. You are gracious.
What's your Twitter, Nikki? Nikki592.
Wrong.
I just
Nikki592.
Nikki592.
I didn't want to leave Nikki out.
She's too busy. She's mixing. She's taping. She's photographing.
She does it all.
Yeah. She's got 7 hands.
She does have 7 hands.
Yeah.
It's her twin. Wait, that doesn't make sense.
Shiva
it's her Earth 2 duplicate.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
She's Zoom.
Big thanks to GVB Studios and Gabe for everything you do for the show. Thanks to our listeners. We appreciate all your questions, you tuning in, and for all the support you have for us. You can find us at actorsanonymouspodcast.com. Share, subscribe. We appreciate everything you do. We're on Patreon as well. Hit us up on there for some extra goodies. If you give us a little bit extra, we give you a lot extra back. We'd love to hear from you. And me at WeSamKish. Yeah, that's it. At WeSamKish. And always remember to listen, think, and then talk.